Much has been talked recently about iRacing's driving standards, especially with the coming of the new Porsche Cup. If you have been around for a while like I have, watched some streams, which I do, no matter what the split is or the iRating of the people involved, these driving standards are nothing new. They have been like this for years, they will be like this for years, no matter what is the series. Most of the explanations stop at, oh, that's just online racing or people make mistakes, and sure enough, mistakes happen and this is true, but the answer doesn't really explain why iRacing, a platform that prides itself on realism and professionalism, hasn't meaningfully improved driving standards, especially on the most egregious ones, despite having all the tools, data, and money to do so. I'm going to be really cynical about this in this video. The uncomfortable truth is that it can be summarized to just one word, and that word is incentive. iRacing driving standards won't improve because iRacing has really no incentive to improve them. Once you start looking at iRacing not as a sim, but as a service, as I've argued last year, and a lot of people didn't really like that, everything starts to make sense. This video today won't be about the Porsche Cup or IMSA or whatever 10K driver caused a huge wreck or whatever, but a hard look at the past, previous, and honestly future driving standard issues that will appear unless something actually fundamentally changes, which likely it won't. So we need to start at about marketing position for a second, because if you really want structured online racing with scheduled races, matchmaking, ratings, official series, a large active player base no matter wherever you are in the world, if it's Europe, Asia, or United States, iRacing is basically still the biggest option out there, because even though other sims exist, and, like LMU, they have really good services, what I use right now, and some of them do specific things better. None of them will actually offer the same type of always online ranked ecosystem at this scale with multiple disciplines, cars, series at this level of depth. It doesn't happen. The way we got here is because iRacing was really the first to do this type of sim racing service, and for years the competition was really only interested in giving more numbers, magical numbers, to some tire model and outright refused to do something remotely similar. That gave iRacing something incredibly powerful, near total dominance over the niche, and first mover advantage, which is really important. Because this is a video about being cynical, let's go the extra mile and become even more cynical. We're going to start about consumer spending habits in this service. First, people spend a lot of money in the service with annual fees. That's really what you need to do if you want to access this service. Then you have to pay about, what, 15 bucks a pop for each piece of content that you need to run the series. So what happens then when you have this, everything aligns, if you really get fed up with the driving standards, and people often do, what do they really do? Most of them actually don't quit. They actually going to complain on forums, they are going to do a video or two about it, they post clips, they swear they are done, and then they renew their subscription. Going to a new system, learning to drive a new driving model in whatever game it is, even if it is superior in theory, doesn't really seem appealing at all, especially when a long-term user has spent, high 3 to 4 digits on this service. It doesn't really matter if others do it better, if they do it better. This customer is already locked in, and therefore iRacing has no incentive. We can talk about a safety rating as a way to, avoid all of this stuff, but also, it doesn't really matter, because on paper, while safety rating sounds like the perfect solution, if you drive clean, your rating goes up, you cause incidents, it goes down. It's simple, but in practice, safety rating doesn't really discourage bad standards, it just teaches people how to game the system. The biggest issue is that safety rating doesn't really care why something happens, it only really cares that an incident happened, or it off tracks, 2 car contacts, a spin. They all count the same way, regardless of fault or intent. They call it the no-fault system, but in reality, it's a misnomer. It's actually called you're always at fault, because the system will always apply fault to you. Because of this, aggressive drivers aren't really stopped by the system. If someone dive bombs constantly but avoids enough contacts, their safety rating survives. If they crash early, they just lose a bit of safety rating and move on to the next race. There's really no long-term behavioral correction happening. The reason for this is that you once again need to become a little more cynical and take a step back. iRacing runs on subscriptions because every driver, good or bad, pays the same monthly fee. In reality, I can argue that bad drivers often have smurfs, even paying double or triple per month. From a business perspective, the worst thing you can do is aggressively police behavior in a way that makes people feel targeted or unwelcomed. At the end of the day, a wreck-filled race is still a race that ran, and the frustrated driver is still logged in. A messy split still counts as engagement. Essentially, it's our turn in sim racing. Therefore, the service didn't fail. And this is why repeat offenders often seem untouchable. Drivers who cause chaos don't disappear unless they are extremely blatant, not because iRacing can't identify the patterns, but because removing these drivers doesn't really help the business. There's really no financial bonus for improving Split 4 race quality, or Split 1 by that matter. There's really no higher subscription tier unlocked by better standards. There's no loss of revenue when a race turns into a wreckfest, as long as people keep showing up. So I have to ask you, do you keep showing up? Let's be cynical again. What iRacing is doing is maximizing profit, only really acting when they need to. And being honest, these driving standards are nothing new, so the incentive to correct them isn't really there. iRacing does what any other smart service would do, no matter what the niche, no matter if it's in gaming or music. They just have enough enforcement to maintain credibility, but never enough to threaten retention. If you look from the outside, you have the licensing system looking official, safety rating feels meaningful, the marketing talks about professionalism and real-world racing is great, but under the surface, everything is tuned for stability, not excellence. It's tuned for you to take out that wallet and pay for that new car. And that's why these conversations will never go anywhere, because no matter if players are suggesting better stewarding, more transparency, harsher penalties, smarter incident detection, all of these stuff is reasonable. It's all reasonable ideas. They are all technically possible, and we can see that with Le Mans Ultimate, with that new badge system, that even though it didn't fix everything, it did improve a little bit the driving standards. But for iRacing, there's no incentive. Everything is quietly avoided, delayed, or watered down, and you can just see that with their driving system. For the GT3s, it took them 3-4 years to bring something that actually drove nicely. If nothing really changes on the service, why would they change everything for the driving standards? It's not because iRacing doesn't know about the problem, it's not because iRacing is incapable of fixing them, it's because fixing this doesn't really align with the incentives, it's too much work. I'm not saying that iRacing is acting like this evil thing, or they're incompetent or lazy, nothing of the sort. It means that iRacing is actually rationally acting within their business model. Until iRacing faces real competition, something that offers the same structure but demands higher standards, nothing will fundamentally change. Complaints won't matter, your forum posts won't matter, your Reddit posts won't matter, even cancellations won't matter if they don't happen at scale. So I'm really sorry to piss in your cereal, and if you like cynical views, subscribe to the channel.